Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of the Daily Strange Stories. I'm John Brown. Our lead story for today. 4 people killed on the spot as packed Zimbabwe-South Africa bus overturns along N1 highway. In the early hours of one Sunday morning, the 25th of May 2025, tragedy struck along the N1 highway, a major artery connecting Zimbabwe and South Africa. A long-distance bus, en route from Zimbabwe to Cape Town, carrying 53 passengers, overturned between Maritzburg and Colesberg, claiming the lives of 4 people, including 2 children. The accident, which occurred around 4:30 a.m., has left families mourning and reignited concerns about road safety and the challenges faced by cross-border travelers. Emergency services were swiftly dispatched to the scene of the crash. Paramedics confirmed the deaths of 2 adults and 2 children at the location. 18 other passengers sustained injuries and were promptly transported to nearby hospitals for medical attention. The full extent of their injuries remained unclear, but the incident has undoubtedly left a lasting impact on all those involved. Among the injured was the mother of Melody Chikadaya, a 45-year-old Cape Town resident. Melody shared her harrowing experience with the news crew, recounting the moment she learned about the accident. Her mother had been visiting her from Harare, Zimbabwe, to provide care after Melody had been hospitalized. The visit was meant to be a source of comfort and support, but it turned into a nightmare. Melody and her mother had been chatting on WhatsApp around 2 a.m. on the morning of the accident. Melody, still recovering from her illness, eventually fell asleep. When she woke up around 6 a.m., she discovered several missed calls and a message from her mother stating that she was in hospital and accompanied by some photographs. The news was devastating, leaving Melody in a state of shock and disbelief. According to Melody, her mother could not recall the events leading up to the accident, as she had been asleep at the time. She sustained a broken leg and sore ribs. The immediate aftermath was chaotic, with her mother unable to provide details of which hospital she was in. Melody and her family were preparing to embark on a desperate search of hospitals and clinics in the Colesberg and Maritzburg area. Southern Cape Police spokesman Sergeant Christopher Spies confirmed that a case of culpable homicide had been opened. Maritzburg police were investigating the circumstances surrounding the accident. Upon arrival at the scene, police found the overturned bus and the 4 occupants who had sustained fatal injuries. Sergeant Spies stated that preliminary investigations indicated that the bus was traveling from Zimbabwe to Cape Town with 53 occupants on board. The cause of the accident was yet to be determined and formed part of the ongoing police investigation. The N1 highway, where the accident occurred, is a vital transport route for travelers between Zimbabwe and South Africa. It is often heavily congested, particularly during peak seasons, with buses and other vehicles carrying passengers and goods across the border. The highway has earned notoriety for accidents, often attributed to factors such as driver fatigue, speeding, and poor road conditions. Cross-border travel between Zimbabwe and South Africa is a common phenomenon, driven by economic migration, family visits, and trade. Many Zimbabweans seek employment opportunities in South Africa, while others travel to visit relatives or conduct business. The buses that ply this route are often packed to capacity, reflecting the high demand for transport and the economic realities that drive migration. The bus accident comes barely 3 weeks after another devastating accident that resulted in the death of 15 people who died and 5 others were injured in a head-on collision involving a fully loaded minibus taxi and a bakkie on the R63 between Adelaide and Makoma, formerly Fort Beaufort, around midnight on Saturday, the 3rd of May 2025. A spokesperson for the Eastern Cape Transport Department, Unatsi Bingose, stated that the accident was the deadliest crash experienced in the Eastern Cape for a long time. It was also reported that not even during the recent Easter holidays or December period did authorities see a single accident with such a high number of fatalities. According to reports, a white Toyota Quantum minibus was traveling from Cairns, also known as King Williamstown, to Cape Town when it collided head-on with an Isuzu double cab from Adelaide and heading towards KwaMakoma. The driver of the Isuzu died at the scene, along with the Quantum's driver and 12 of its passengers. Emergency services transported 6 surviving passengers from the taxi to the provincial hospital, but 1 later died from injuries, raising the total death toll to 15. The victims included 8 adult men, 6 adult women, and 1 young girl. An inquest docket has been opened, and authorities are investigating the circumstances of the crash, particularly since both drivers perished in the accident. 2 days ago, 3 people died in a crash involving 2 vehicles on the R63 between Makoma and Adelaide in the Eastern Cape. One of the vehicles caught fire after the incident. 2 of the victims were burned beyond recognition, while the other deceased was the driver of the other vehicle. Provincial Transport spokesperson, Unathi Bingose, said an inquest docket was opened. Bingose confirmed that 3 people sustained fatal injuries in an accident involving a Polo and a Focus. It was also reported that it was a head-on collision, and the Polo caught fire before law enforcement officers attended the scene. Road safety in South Africa and Zimbabwe is a persistent challenge, with high accident rates compared to many other countries. Factors contributing to this include poor road infrastructure, inadequate vehicle maintenance, reckless driving behavior, and insufficient law enforcement. The South African government has implemented various measures to improve road safety, including stricter traffic laws, increased police patrols, and public awareness campaigns. However, these efforts have not been enough to curb the high number of accidents, particularly on long-distance routes. In Zimbabwe, the situation is further complicated by economic challenges, which have led to a deterioration of road infrastructure and a lack of resources for law enforcement. Many vehicles on Zimbabwean roads are old and poorly maintained, increasing the risk of accidents. Cultural factors also play a role in road safety. In some communities, there is a tendency to disregard traffic laws and engage in reckless driving behavior. This is often attributed to a lack of awareness, a disregard for authority, and a belief in fate, as some people believe events are predetermined and unavoidable, regardless of their actions. To mitigate the risk of accidents, some transport companies have implemented measures such as driver training programs, vehicle tracking systems, and fatigue management policies. However, these measures are not universally adopted, and many smaller operators continue to prioritize profits over safety. The accident also underscores the importance of adequate insurance coverage for travelers. Many cross-border buses do not have sufficient insurance to cover the costs of medical treatment, repatriation, and compensation for victims and their families. This leaves many families struggling to cope with the financial burden of accidents. Thank you for watching this news video. We'd love to hear what you think about this story, so please leave your comments below. We read them all and appreciate your insights. Join us again in our next strange story. Until then, goodbye.